Welcome back to CEFA's mini-pod. Today we're here with Michael from Accenture. He is going to tell us a bit about AI and give his best advice on business students wanting to enter this industry. Hi Michael, thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome.
Could you start by telling us a bit about who you are and what your educational background is?
Sure. My name is Michael Kristensen. I work in Accenture as a technology strategy consultant. Prior to that, I came from industry. I worked 2 years at Novo Nordisk in the graduate program within business and IT. And prior to that, I was a student at Aalborg University. I graduated in IT management as my master.
So today we're going to talk a bit about artificial intelligence in companies. Could you give a bit of an introduction to that theme?
Sure. I would say the most pressing theme around AI right now when we talk with business is about how to get value out of it. I mean, there's a lot of companies that are working with proof of concepts, POCs, and they do so fairly well, I would say, in different kind of pockets within the company. But what they really struggle with is getting value out of AI on a broader scale. And that's also very much an issue in Denmark, I would say.
What kind of issues do they experience with that? Are there some entry barriers for it?
I think one of the first issues is around really having the right people together. I mean, sometimes they work on it in a very isolated way with some of the same profiles. So you might have 1 or 2 data scientists getting the task of, okay, let's just try to succeed with AI. Can you take that task and make up some use cases, some proof of concept, and see what value you get out of it. And it could also be just a single person or 2 person in business that gets the job of saying, do something with AI and let's try to get some value out of it. So the first issue I really see is about getting a mix of good people together, mix it internal, external, and really attack it from, you can say, look at across the organization and very much aligned with the strategy. I mean, it doesn't sound that complicated, but there's really a lot of companies that doesn't just get the start right in this way.
So then when it does work, what kind of value can it create for a company?
Oh, in many different ways it can create value. I mean, it depends also very much back to the strategy. To start out with, when you do an AI strategy, for instance, you want to, of course, start with the business strategy. To say, okay, we have these and these business objectives, or corporate strategy. How can we use AI to improve our performance within these objectives? That's at least one way where you say you start with a business strategy in mind and then you develop your AI strategy. That's step number 1. And then you say, okay, maybe it's focused on getting the operation improved because you are in a cost-cutting period. That might be relevant for more companies given a COVID-19 period. Or you're saying, okay, we are a growth company, we are aiming for these areas to improve. Let's focus on customer journeys, customer experience, or let's focus on price setting, these kind of things, and then it's the growth that's in focus, right? So it's really about, back to the corporate strategy, what is that? And then how can we use AI the best way to really improve our performance in those areas?
So if we have some CEFA members watching this and thinking that AI is something that they would be interested in working with, what type of advice would you give them?
The first point of advice would be around just kind of dive into it. And it could be a course at university, it could be just watching some YouTube videos around it, or find a Coursera course that gives like a 3 lessons around it, just get into it and kind of get the notion of what it is all about. My second advice would be around hanging out with the people that are in a position where you want to go. So if you want to become, AI advisor within the financial industry, do we have such a person in Denmark? Contact them, LinkedIn, reach out, ask for a coffee talk. If you really hang out with the people that you look up to and want to become, I think that's the best way to actually become that profile. And I think my first advice would probably just be have fun doing it. I mean, it sounds like a cliche, but it's really about just have the motivation, keep the motivation around it, and just have the best experience with it, because then you will continue down the path of just becoming better and better at it.
How about for those students who are perhaps not like super techy, but still think that this would be interesting to work with? Yeah. What kind of opportunities do they have?
First of all, I'll say it's probably the same advice that counts for them. The opportunities, I mean, within consulting, it's definitely also an opportunity. Let me give an example that some of my colleagues also work with. They work around operating model around succeeding with AI. And it's about, you know, putting the right people together, setting up the right process, the right governance. That's one way that you can apply it, where you don't necessarily need to be down to the technical part. There's also the angle of having a more, you can say, corporate strategy point of view on it. So it's more about assessing the market potential, your position in the market, and of course ally with people that then have a better understanding of AI. But it's really about you being part of that team and have, you can say, part of the language, but then you're partnering up with someone that has more the deep understanding. So you have that why kind of or T understanding, so it's not just your own knowledge skills that you have within your speciality, but you also go across in some of the AI topics. That would be my comment to it.
Okay, great. I think lastly, what we ask all the people we talk to here in the CEFA Pod series is if you could give 3 advices to your old student self, which type of advices would those be?
I don't think they'll be very different from what I just said before, because looking back, there's a lot of things that what I've done might not, I've actually used, even though I'm a little bit surprised that I use them today. So one advice would probably be, and it maybe sound a little bit like a cliche, but don't worry too much. I mean, just kind of, you know, whatever you work with, whatever you do an assignment and study, just you know, try to get the best out of it, learn from that experience, and take the learning part of the important part. Not, I know it can be difficult, but not focus on just getting the grade. Of course, also you want to get the good grade, but when we are out there in business, the pace is just so fast. That's the biggest difference from coming from student to business. The pace is just so much faster, so you don't have the time to study and prepare in the same way. So it's really about getting that, you know, whatever you have the time to study for while you're a student, get that more ingrained and more on your backbone. So don't worry that much. Get the things on your backbone so you can use them afterwards. I think that would be, I'll stick to those 2 for now.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So thank you for watching. I hope you will watch our future videos and that you had all your questions answered today.